Welcome to Action Callers. I'm Reva Camiel, your host and action coach. You're on the right station if you're tired of just hearing complaints without a commitment to find a solution. Action Callers is based on these 5 ideas. Everyone can serve. Everyone has something to contribute. Everyone is unique and has special talents. Many people do help, but we don't always see them, like our engineer here on the radio show. And no one can accomplish big things alone. Today, our community change maker is Danette Garcia from the League of Women Voters. And for those of you who are with us for the first time, Action Callers is committed to bringing change makers, people who have seen problems to be solved in our communities and have taken action to alleviate those problems. I am your host and action coach, Dr. Reva Camiel, a marriage family counselor in private practice in Sacramento, California. To talk to Danette Garcia or myself, call right now. Call us at 916-456-5199. So listen to us if you're open to generously listening to the ideas of others. And call us if you have a problem in your community that needs your focus. And maybe the focus of some of our other listeners. That is what this program is committed to, exploring all sides of an issue, and then working out an effective way to help alleviate that issue or problem. Actually, you can also call to change the topic altogether if you have an issue you find yourself complaining about every day. Then our changemaker guests and I will support you in discovering what action you can take to improve or change the problem. So call us if you're willing to be coached by our community changemaker, Danette Garcia, to turn your complaint into a solution. Give us a call at 916-456-5199. Get out your pencil and paper so that you'll be able to write down some of the events and meetings that Danette and I know about that are going to be taking place right here in River City. If you know any other events or meetings that you think we should know about, call me right now at 916-456-5199. You can be part of the solution rather than being part of the problem. Call us now at our open line at 916-456-5199. Danette, would you please tell us a little bit about the path that led you to be involved in a long-standing organization such as the League of Women Voters?
Well, that's not a difficult item to address because I have always been involved in my community.
Uh-huh.
And
from what age? Do you remember your first community action?
My first community action, actually, I was a child. I suspect it had to be 5 or 6.
Mm-hmm.
My father was in the military. My mother was working as a chemist. And we were very much involved because our country was being designed around voters and people who could and could not vote.
What do you mean by that, our country was designed?
Well, in 1960, although African Americans had the right to vote, they were having problems in that they were unable to vote because there were so many roadblocks in their way.
Yeah, what kind of roadblocks were there in 1960? We kind of think of that as modern times, but what were some of the roadblocks?
Well, if one could not pass a test, perhaps they were given tests, and if they could not pass the test, no one else, of course, was given that test, they would be subjected to not being allowed to vote.
Uh-huh. Was that written in the law someplace that that tests could be given?
Well, it actually was an unspoken rule. And those unspoken rules were the ones that were utilized most openly.
Uh-huh. Now, was this mostly in the South, or was it happening in the West and the North? Well,
it was happening all over.
Was it? Uh-huh.
And it was not until the Voting Rights Act of 1965 that individuals were able to break those barriers down, and individuals were given their rights to vote without any obstacles being placed in their way. And therefore, even though there was a period of time we had the right to vote without access to it, polling places in our areas, in our homes, in our communities, timing of being able to get to the polls was an obstacle that was...
What did they do, make it 2 in the morning or something like that?
It felt that way, although I
Uh-huh.
was not a voter at that time. My parents always talked about it. They
Mm-hmm.
talked about how we played a part, but we were apart from the workings of mechanisms of how our country was run.
So, what did you think about not being part of that you might be part of, not being part of the mechanism that made things work? What was that like for your little mind as a little girl?
Well, I could not figure out why we were accepted in most places and we weren't allowed our rights. Although given those rights, we weren't allowed to exercise those with ease as others were. So there were many things in my mind, going through my mind as a young person, um, until I realized that I did play an important part. And as I grew older and my parents continued to instill in us the reasons why we play an important part in the American society, that's when I decided, well, I need to make sure that no one else is left out.
Mm-hmm. About how old were you at that point when you thought that nobody should be left out?
My teenage years when we were in Germany, living in Germany, and the Americans were treated a bit differently. Everyone was pretty much accepted. I realized that if this country can do it,
Ah,
then our country can as well.
so African Americans could just be in the society and everything was okay and there were no barriers.
There were barriers, but they were not as restricted.
Mm-hmm. For example, you.
For example, we went to the exact same schools with ease, never felt as though we were being discriminated against. I personally, and I
Mm-hmm.
can only speak for myself and my family, the people overseas were very nice and very warm and receptive to the military community, and the community we we were active throughout Europe and with ease. We traveled with ease. We communicated with the individuals of those countries, and it felt a bit different than being in the United States.
Where did you grow up in the United States? If you did stay in one place very long with being your father being in the military.
Right. It
Yeah.
was a bit difficult. We traveled quite a bit. In the United States, I called Texas my home. I stayed in Texas the longest. And the longest would be 5 years, actually. We did move quite a bit. In the United States, that was Texas. We spent a short while in Washington, D.C. My father was working at the Pentagon. We spent a short time in Richmond, Virginia.
I
But
remember in 1950 going to Washington and Louisville, Kentucky, where I was originally born, but I guess I was only born one place originally, but I grew up in Los Angeles from 3 months old. But I remember the swimming pools were still segregated in 1950.
that's right. And I was not born then, but in 1955, and through the period of 1965, I noticed there was a distinction. It was never ever a distinction that was actually played upon me, but I was privileged to see some of the I guess the tools of discrimination, and that is why I decided that when I was overseas, I need to look at the other countries.
Good. So give us a call if you'd like to talk here to me or Danita about what went on historically in the United States around voting and find out more about how come she got herself involved in the League of Women Voters. I think it's starting to come out why she would want to be in such an organization. Maybe you can call us at 916-456-5199. We do want to hear from you. We do want to hear what you have to say. And maybe you've had some similar experiences to Danita, and you can maybe back it up. Maybe some people can't even imagine that in 1965, who was president then? Was that Kennedy?
Right.
Yeah, that seemed like the modern age already, and here we had Kennedy as a president, and there was still just the beginnings of voter rights. So give us a call again at 916-456-5199, and let's hear a little bit about what do you like about the League of Women Voters and what that's been for you like? When did you join and how come? And
I joined the League of Women Voters 3 years ago, and at that time I was working for the Secretary of State, Bill Jones, in various divisions within the Secretary of State's office, but most importantly, the elections division, where all of the aspects of voting and voting rights and privileges and the election process went on. I got to see that firsthand, and I must say that it was a wonderful learning experience.
What were some of the things that you learned there and that you could share with our listeners so that we get kind of an inside view of and learn those things too? Because a lot of those things probably won't be ever be in a textbook.
Well, one of the most important parts of what I learned while working in the elections division is that everyone counts. Everyone of voting age is important to the state of California and to the United States.
Well, how did you learn that there? What made that come really alive to you? I mean, we hear that slogan all the time, but what made that come alive to you at that point when you were working in the Secretary of State's office?
Well, at that time, we were, all the time working in the elections division, it was about registering individuals to vote in this process of selecting our leaders. We were involved in the initiative process, involved in electing assembly members, senators. What led to me feeling that this was a office that could deliver to me all of the information I needed as a participant was the support system. We had the experts personified in that office. If you wanted to know about the initiative process, that's where you would find them. If you wanted to know about absentee voting, that's where you would find out. If you wanted
Is
to
that still the place to find out?
That is one of the places
The Secretary
of many.
of State? Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Who's head of the Secretary of State now?
Bill Jones
Still
is
there?
yes,
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Bill Jones is still the Secretary of State, and he's doing an outstanding job. He was doing an outstanding job when I was working there for him, and he is continuing to do that exact same job.
Is he running for office? Is that an elected office?
That is an elected office, and he did, of course, win the second term in office, and is doing a good job.
Your radio station is The Voice, 91.5 FM, cable FM 88.7, and worldwide via streaming media at www.sacramento.org.
And so, Danette, what else did you learn there at the Secretary of State's office as you were working there about why each vote counted? I mean, did they get real upset when there was a low in your office when people weren't signing up to register to vote? Was there some concern? Were there some people that were blocking the way of some people voting?
Well, no, there were no roadblocks in place. The office maintains such an integrity of the process by making sure they have a top-notch outreach program to outreach to the schools, to outreach to the communities, that they were making it the process of voting and understanding the process available to any and everyone who wanted to learn from it. Mm-hmm. The office had an opportunity, when I was there, had an opportunity to have an election summit too, which talked about voter registration and things like deadwood and why people perhaps may fall off the rolls. Is it because they didn't realize how important it is to register? Is it because they have become disenfranchised?
Do you have to register again? I don't remember re-registering.
No, you do not have to register to vote a second time. You're always registered once registered. However,
How do you fall off the rolls then?
You can fall off the rolls inadvertently without even knowing it.
Really?
If, for example, you have registered to vote in one county, mm-hmm. and then you move to another county without changing your address, and then you re-register there. Well, there are two your names are registration in two places. Mm-hmm. So that can't be. So perhaps you can count yourself out by forgetting to register properly, change your registry.
How do you register properly?
You would go to the registrar's office. you would go to a post office. You would go to any facility that maintained voter reg cards, and then when you fill it out, you would, of course, give your last known address. And it does have a box that says, have you ever been registered before? Because what they utilize that area for is to go and remove you from the other.
Uh-huh.
Right.
So, so that you don't vote, they don't have you voting twice, and so they take you off altogether if you registered without telling them your former address.
Well, you could cancel yourself out. It's not that they're taking you off; it's that you could be canceling your registration out. You cannot be registered in two places. So if I were to register in Sacramento County, and I were to go to Alameda County and re-register, saying, no, I've never been registered before, and then those agencies connect through this new system of computers and find that you're registered in two places and they don't actually have, perhaps they cannot verify that, then you may discount yourself by thinking that you've done the right thing. Always state yes if you've registered in the past, and if you can't remember the address, attempt to remember the county so that they can match those up. Young people registering, how important it is to outreach to the young people because they're our future.
Okay, the 18-year-olds, can the 18-year-old vote?
Absolutely. The 18-year-old vote is actually going to be the defining vote for our future. They are going to decide things that we perhaps have not are not ready for, because they're thinking if we don't educate them and if we just simply say register to vote and that's it, we don't educate them on the importance of it and the process, then our future could be in
at risk, huh?
Absolutely.
Okay, give us a call at 456-5199 if you want to know what you need to know in order to vote. Voting comes in November. On Action Callers, these next 2 months, September and October, each week we'll be having people who are running for office. And this program with League of Women Voters and Danette Garcia here today is to kind of prepare us for these guests that we're going to be having. Next week we're going to have Rob Kurth, who's running for mayor, and also Tom Payne, who is running for Congress. And they'll be sharing the hour. And each week we'll have different people who are running for council and I called the Matsui office, and they'll probably either have him call in from Washington to talk with us, or maybe even be here or do a telephone interview. So we're going to have, it's going to be fun. You'll be able to ask these people right here, what they plan to do and how they're going to do it, and, whether you want them to do it. You can give your views. And so this is what I was thinking was a good prep for the people who are going to be coming in the next 2 months. So this is a very exciting time for all of us with the elections coming up. And if we're just going, oh, ho hum, I'm not interested in it, we really are we're giving up all the things that our parents and some of us fought for not too very long ago. We could lose it very quickly if we don't watch out. So tell us a little bit more about anything more about the Secretary of State office. What else goes on there?
Oh, many things happen at the Secretary of State office, from incorporating a foreign, domestic, or nonprofit corporation, all the way to elections. And the office is one that I was very, very pleased to work at the office, and very, very proud to say still that I worked for the Secretary of State. They have a mechanism in place that allows the employees to really get a very, very good education as far as their jobs and the commitment to the mission of the Secretary of State. And that's one agency that's clearly defined that it is empowering the employees to think out of the box, to utilize their skills, to cross-train and things like that.
Yeah, let me just talk a little bit about getting out of the box. I just love that metaphor. If you have 9 dots kind of in a square, and you try to, with 4 straight lines, go through all those 9 dots, most of us have a lot of difficulty figuring out how to do that. So that exercise really proves to us that we actually make up rules in our own little head that don't even exist in reality. And we make them up and we believe our own stories. And then we get caught in the box because we're not thinking outside the box, which is not breaking the rule. And so I find that a wonderful metaphor for how we may feel about government. We may feel that, oh, there's nothing we can do. Well, if we act as if there's nothing we can do, for sure there's nothing we can do.
Absolutely.
You will be right. There is nothing that we can do if you think it and you act that way. And if you think there are things that you can do and you take action to let people know, this can be a very exciting, wonderful world that we have here. So what changes have you seen take place as a result of people taking action?
Well, I can speak to the issue of people taking action in my city. I'm in a new city, a newly incorporated city of Elk Grove. Very proud to be from Elk Grove. And I actively participate in the process of empowering individuals and, of course, participate in watching how newly elected officials are. You always find out that there's an official there's someone running for office, and they've run for 15 offices before, and they've been seated many times. But you really want to know, how do they start? Where are they starting from? And the city of Elk Grove has a very brand new organization of city council members and new mayor pro tem, and 3 city council members who are working hard to do a number of things. And one is to understand their role.
Mm-hmm.
How do they play an effective part in governing a city and making sure the city stays above water and making sure that the people do not hold them in a position where they cannot accomplish anything? There's one thing about government that we have to remember. The citizens are responsible for letting their politicians know what they want and how they would like it. The politicians are responsible to the citizens in ensuring that the citizens are heard, and after hearing the citizens, that they make their decisions based on in the best interest of the citizens. We have to really take great care of that premise, because there are many officials who have a personal agenda, and after they're elected, they perhaps forget that they're there to serve.
Mm-hmm.
So
well,
when
what
you,
might be some personal agendas that people might have? Not saying the people in Elk Grove, but what might be some of the personal agendas that we as citizens need to keep our ear out and open for?
right, not so much that Elk Grove has that, because that's universal. I mean,
right.
politicians, by and large, at some point they want their agenda. Some of those might be they're so excited about having the position that they forget to listen to the members, and then they forget to listen to the citizens, and they decide what they want.
Community Radio for Sacramento, The Voice.
Hi, I'm Isaac Vidalis, host of the Center of the Universe, Diverse Electronic Drive, your electronic-based station, frequency violation, Saturdays from 8 to 10 p.m., System of Industrial, the original chemistry post with your host, Isaac Vidalis. You'll never guess what's on the technology pick of the week, where I'll speak of a DJ's choice on the voice of equipment and value, and educate you, without a doubt, first about electronic music, the center of the universe.
Hi, this is the Young Turk. Listen to my show, The Dead Set. My house band is the Grateful Dead, but I also play The Doors, Santana, Jimi Hendrix, and other 60s-related psychedelia, not to mention reggae, rock and roll, blues. Don't be scared. I'll set you up. Young Turk, peace.
That's The Dead Set with Young Turk, Saturday nights at 6 on Sacramento's Voice.
What if you were in trouble? Where would you turn? In communities around the country, there is help available. Volunteers of America has been helping people build better lives for over 100 years. One of the nation's largest nonprofit charitable organizations, Volunteers of America builds stronger communities, restoring confidence and self-reliance to help people help themselves. Reaching out to abused and neglected children and families. Caring for the special needs of the elderly and disabled. Providing services to people who are homeless and in poverty. Across the nation, Volunteers of America helped over 1.5 million people last year. There are no limits to what can be done. Find out how you can help change lives in your community. Call 1-800-899-0089. Volunteers of America. There are no limits to caring.
Hey, is that Freedom Rock I'm hearing?
No, man.
Well, turn it up anyway.
Hey, it sounds like that community radio station.
Sacramento's Community Radio, The Voice.
Yeah, that's the community radio station where anyone can do their own radio show.
No way.
Way. Just call Access Sacramento at 456-8600. They have training classes to teach you all about community radio broadcasting.
Wow, man. Sounds really cool.
Yeah, I'm headed down there right now for my radio training class.
No way. I'm coming too.
That's right. Now you can take advantage of this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to grab hold of that microphone and make your radio dreams come true. Access Sacramento radio training classes are offered by appointment and cost $15. And if you act now, you get the super psychedelic sounds of the 70s music bed absolutely free. The number to call is 456-8600. Answering machines are standing by. This is The Voice. The Voice is 88.7 Cable FM and KYDS 91.5 FM Sacramento.
And now we're back on Interaction, and we're here with our guest, Danette Garcia, who is at the League of Women Voters, and I'm your host and coach, Reva Camiel, and we really look forward to your giving us a call at 916-456-5199 and talk about your feelings about voting. And I hear a lot of people talking about wanting to vote for a third party, and some people don't want to vote because they don't think anybody's any good. What kind of feeling do you have about that, Danette?
I think it is, as I said earlier in my upbringing, I think it was important that my parents kept talking to us about what we could contribute to our nation. And in talking to us about what we could contribute, they talked to us about how we could contribute. And sometimes it doesn't matter how old you are or how young you are, if you're not talked to about what you can contribute, you feel that you have nothing to contribute. And it appears to most that it's only during an election year that the politicians come forward and all of the action groups and activists come forward to talk about the importance of voting. Voting and registering to vote is an important part of our process daily.
Now, what do you mean by that? Like a daily process?
We vote on things that are instrumental to our households. What we're going to wear, where we're going to go as family members. We decide, and that's as if we're taking a vote.
Mm-hmm. So we're always making decisions.
Always
and
making
choices.
decisions. And what happens to our nation, our cities, our counties, our states, is that we wait until the last moment to even consider what the difference would be if we voted on this issue or that issue. And we go in oftentimes to the polls with blindfolds on.
Mm-hmm.
And we vote based on name recognition. I don't know this person, but I recognize the name.
Oh, it's a nice name, and I like the way they spell it. They must be of this background or that
That's
background.
Right. We rob ourselves. That is the biggest crime that can be committed in robbing ourselves of our rights to make an informed decision, and that's what League does.
What just came up for me was the whole idea that the politicians, if they don't see people voting and registering, that's maybe even a bigger incentive for them to not pay attention when they do hear from people, thinking, well, people don't really care. And then they work on their own agenda. Give us a call at 456-5199 and let us know how you feel about that. So what were you going to say, Danita?
Well, you make the point very clear in that our politicians perhaps may feel that we do not care. But the ignorance doesn't mean we don't care. It just means we aren't knowledgeable. We have not been empowered. And I believe that politicians, once elected, should be more visible. Talk to us throughout the year.
Mm-hmm. They can come on this program anytime during the year. Just have them call me.
And it doesn't, go into the communities. See your constituents. Do not court me when you're closer to an election, because you're saying to me that I did not count
before.
Mm-hmm. And so that is the key that we have to present to our politicians. Now, it is not meant to insult our politicians. It's meant to educate them. And that's what the League does. We not only try to educate the citizenry, we try to educate any and all individuals that have to do with making our world a better place, our nation, our laws.
So what is a meeting at the League of Women Voters like? What's that organization about?
It is the most dynamic organization that one can encounter. We have young women from 18 years old all the way into their 80s, 90s. Mm-hmm. We empower ourselves daily.
How do you do that in your organization?
We pay attention, and that's the key.
How often do you have your meetings?
We have a meeting once a month.
And what goes on at those meetings?
At those meetings, we talk about issues that perhaps concern our community. We talk about issues that affect the state, the nation. We are active in action. We take great consideration on issues that are a human interest and what is the benefit to our community at large. How can the League play a part in assisting for a greater outcome?
Well, let's say you have Democrats and Republicans and Nader's party and the Green Party and all of the different parties in your group. I imagine you do have a variety of people in the organization, do
We
you?
have every party that you could imagine of the 7 parties. There are 7 parties, and they're all involved. The unique thing about the League of Women Voters is it's a non-partisan organization. Regardless of someone perhaps being a Democrat or someone being from the Reform Party, that doesn't matter to us. What matters to us is the total effect, the whole. What is the benefit to the entire group? How can we effectively communicate education through advocacy if we don't take in everyone? So our nonpartisanship allows us to say, we're sitting in the aisle so that we can have a better view of both sides. Mm-hmm. We can't sit on one side because we may miss what the other side is talking about.
Yeah, that's about what this program is all about, is really listening to all the sides and really getting as many pieces of information as possible. But how do you do that in the organization? I mean, do you vote on things that you're going to take action on? And what if some of the people, it's against their thinking? Do you still take the action? How are things decided in your organization?
Well, they're decided by consensus.
And consensus means exactly what?
The consensus means that the group has decided, for example, if we were taking up an issue in relations to a county measure, and it was something that we were asked to either support or oppose, we would have to have the consensus of the entire.
Does that mean everybody has to agree?
That's right. The state, local, or national league, whichever one is being asked to do the research and come up with the deciding factor, needs to come together. We have to put our minds together. Now, not to say that League members do not sometimes have an opinion that may be contrary to the majority of the group. We talk about it. talk about that issue. We express our opinions. Our opinions are not taken from us. What we do is we empower ourselves through education to find out the reason that something that something would be good for the area or not good for the area. And sometimes we can't decide it, and we won't.
Unless there's consensus, huh? Let me just say this. Sacramento is growing day by day, and it's important for all of you people who have just joined our community to get yourself registered. And for those of you who've lived here forever and have never registered, and if you're 18, well, when would you have to be 18 by?
You have to be 18 by the next election. If you're going to be 18 by November 7th, then you are eligible to register to vote.
Okay, so get yourself registered, and sometimes people are in front of the store and they're the grocery stores, and they're registering people. The post office, you can register, and where else?
You can register at the post office. You can register at, of course, the county registrar of voters office, the Secretary of State's office. You can have registration cards, voter registration cards sent to your home.
Well, how do you get it? How do you get it to go to your home?
Well, you would just simply make a call
to
the voter registrar's office or the Secretary of State. And now the Secretary of State has come up with another unique thing, and that's you can register online. And the voter registration card would then be sent to your home, and you would simply sign it then and return it.
Wow.
So there's access to those cards. You can make a call. There's so much you can do. In the city of Elk Grove, what is really unique about that is that we have really started to become voter activists, each and every one of us out there. And there are many of the businesses now that do carry voter reg cards. So perhaps you go to a car dealership and find voter reg cards.
Well, that's great. Listen, give us a call at 456-5199 and find out more than you ever wanted to know about being registered. And you register by October 10th. Right now, our wonderful host, Diane Vitar, keeps putting that in front of my face, letting me know that it's very important to do this registering, and she hasn't stopped pressing on that point here today, and she has my full my full 100% backing to that. So get out and register. And if you haven't registered, still don't know how to do it, don't be afraid to ask a question. Don't be afraid. I remember I was traveling on a trip in Europe once, and the lady said to me on our bus, she said, "Reva," she says, I can't understand. You're always asking so many questions. Why do you always ask so many questions? You're supposed to have a PhD. You're not supposed to be asking so many questions." And I just cracked up, because I do ask a lot of questions, and sometimes people don't like all the questions that I ask. But I want to know, and I don't care if I seem to be dumb or something like that. I'm going to continue asking my questions. If I have them, I ask them. And I encourage all of you who are listening, if you have a question, call us right now. And, with all the questions I've asked, I have some answers to some questions, and so Danette, I'm sure, has too. So give us a call, 456-5199. Don't be shy. Just give us a call. Okay, so where are we now?
Well, in relations to the October 10th, registering to vote, that's the last
deadline
night. That's the deadline. And the League of Women Voters is, once again, as we do during election periods, we are going to have a late night registration throughout the county of Sacramento.
How late?
Well, we will have it until 11
p.m.
to register, and we will then, we hope to strategically be placed by some mailboxes, and if not, we can guide you in how to get that voter registration application to the appropriate office. But that's the deadline, and if you want to be counted in, see, the important thing is we cannot, and I can't impress this upon myself or others as much as I would like to, and I try to do it every day, we cannot count if we count ourselves out. And we can only count ourselves in and hold those who govern us accountable if we vote And we can't do that without registering. A wife said to me when I asked her if she was registered to vote when she was entering a grocery market not too long ago, it was in March, and the voter reg drive was over, the election was over, and we had a booth because in Elk Grove we try to keep booths up all the time. And I said, ma'am, are you interested in registering to vote? And she said, no, my husband's registered for us. Well, that's a wonderful thing that he's registered because he knows how important it is to be involved. Now we want to educate you and empower you that your vote counts too. If he can do it, then both of you together can do it.
That's right, and your votes might cancel each other out, but that's okay too. You've had your say.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and we can't complain, if we about stuff. I don't think if we're not willing to take that kind of an action like voting. Now, some of you might not want to go on a picket line, and some of you might not want to take part in a demonstration, and some of you may not want to write a letter to your congressman. Some of you might not want to do anything. But if you only vote and register to vote by October 10th, that's a very important time. What I would like, if you can, Danette, give to me at some point or send to me, is where some of these late registrations are going to be held, and maybe I can announce it on Action Callers.
Absolutely, absolutely. I can do that for you and send that in. I'd like to, if I can mention one more thing that's very important to the process of registering. And people say it doesn't count, I don't count, I'm not going to vote for this person, when we get this person, they're just going to do the same thing. Do you want to know why that happens? It happens because after we vote, we stay at home. In order to make our politicians accountable to us, we must go to our city council meetings. We must hear what they're putting before us. We must, in a nice way, protest if it is not feasible to our community. And I don't mean get up there and rant and rave. I mean stand up, be accountable, say that this is not what you desire. Talk about what your community feels and get those items on the table so your politicians know how you feel. Remember, they only vote the way you either tell them you would like them to vote or the way they want to vote. And if they vote their own way, you can exercise your right at the polls the next time. But if they're voting in a certain way that you are not happy with, if you don't come to the table, you cannot participate.
Isn't there a way to get rid of somebody even in the middle of their term?
Well, there's a nasty word out there, and that nasty word is called recall.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a good word. It's not a pretty word. In fact, it's the worst word a politician could hear. Mm-hmm. And no one really wants to advocate recall, get them out of here. No. We have to educate ourselves, and we have to educate them. It is much better to get a politician in office that's going to do the right thing because you're working with that politician.
Sacramento's alternative choice is The Voice, 91.5 FM, 88.7 cable FM, worldwide via streaming media at sacramento.org.
Yeah, I'd like to just change the subject for just a minute and also remind those of you who are in your cars or in your houses, give us a call at 456-5199. One of the things I wanted to ask you, Danette, was with all of the guests coming in the next 2 months, what do you suggest when the listeners are listening to the candidates? What do you think they should be either thinking about and asking and giving a call to let the candidates know that they're out there listening and caring? And what would be the best way to kind of notice, who's honest, who isn't, that kind of thing?
Wonderful question. And it's important that the voters and the listeners and the potential registered voters know this. When you're going to elect someone and you're listening to what they have to say, and you perhaps may not be able to see them, you're only hearing them via radio or television, watch out for how they present themselves. If they're doing any name calling, rumor mongering, loaded statements about other candidates.
What might be like a loaded statement?
For example, one of the loaded statements may be, I oppose wasteful spending. That might be to someone listening, well, then your opponent must not oppose wasteful spending. So those are the key words. And we pick up on, but we've got to educate ourselves not to pay attention to those types of things. It's if I see it and I hear it for myself and I've experienced it, then it must be true. But at the same time, if I have someone I respect who's running for office, somehow I discount all of my reasonable thinking and take it as, well, they must be right. I must discount what I was thinking and adopt their thinking. Remember, politicians are actors. They're playing a part. Some of them are playing an active part, an honest part. And they are true to their conviction on how they want to represent us because they want to represent themselves as well. And some of them are actors who have no one's interest in mind but their own. Become educated so you can tell the difference. When you can tell the difference, you have empowered yourself.
So you really should really respect your own intuition and your own way of hearing things and just noticing. How do you? What are some other clues that'll help our intuition?
Sometimes our intuition isn't what is right. Because sometimes we've heard so much that may be biased that then we adopt that and we think it's our intuition and it's not. The only way for us to know for a fact if someone's doing a good job or will do it is to find out, write, look at their history, personally look at their history. Don't listen to what another politician has said about that person's history. Educate yourself. Go to those forums. Go to their headquarters. When they say I'm an open door policy politician,
go to
find
their
out
door.
if that's true. So often it isn't. You make a call and everyone but the politician returns your call. So you want to hold them accountable. And if they're too busy, as we know they are, then don't use that statement. It's okay not to be able to get back to everyone and that someone else may have to return your call or answer their question. But don't tell us that you're an open door policy politician when you really
Open
aren't.
door for whom? It
That's
might be
right.
the question.
So don't turn people away because they don't understand that you meant, as long as I can be an open door policy politician. They are human too. They can't always be there. But it's important that it's tantamount to the process, that we educate ourselves. Don't listen to our brothers and sisters and husbands on who's better, or our mothers and daughters on who's
Well, we might
best.
listen to them, but we don't have to decide the way they decide, right?
What I mean is, don't listen to them adopting their every word. Adopt it if it's right because you've done the research.
And research might include?
Research will definitely include calling their campaign headquarters, getting their mission statement, what they plan to do when they're elected, finding out how often have they run for election, how often have they moved to run for election in a city.
Have they moved to the district so they could run there?
Have they moved? How often do they have other people putting out bad propaganda or bad information about another candidate who's actually doing it on their behalf? And you can actually read through that. You can read through the lines and see who's doing that. And how often are they using citizens to push through their agenda? Because sometimes we get politicians who will say, let me drop this information to you and maybe you'll print it. And you see, we've got to be careful for that because your reputation, remember, it's also guilt by association. So if you're facilitating the bad information, then perhaps you are changing the way people will accept what you have to say.
So we need to have what I sometimes call healthy paranoia.
Yes.
Not to be too believing of everything we hear, and to listen to all sides, and to get more information, maybe even find out what the voting history is. Is League of Women Voters a great place to go to learn about these things?
League of Women Voters is a wonderful place. We are poised and ready for members, new members. We give information. Doesn't mean you have to be a member to get information. We will give you information. We will make sure you're informed. We will come to your community and do that as well. We'd like your membership.
Great. Do you have any, we're going to be closing in a few minutes. Is there anything, any event that you think people might want to get to besides registering and voting? Do you have any meetings that are coming up?
Well, in the Sacramento area, we will be having a mayoral forum on September 30th, and that is going to be held at Sierra 2 in Curtis Park, and that's on Saturday, and it begins at I believe it's 10 o'clock, but
10 a.m.?
10 a.m. And you can certainly call the league office and find out.
What's that phone number?
The league office is 447-8683. Actually, it's 447-VOTE. So if you can't remember the rest, we are telling you to vote, and 447-VOTE.
Very good. Well, I want to thank you, Danette, so much for being here. I think we could talk for hours. Maybe towards the end, just before the election, I can have you come back in again and fill us in about maybe about how you vote, you know, even almost the process, and especially for new voters, what they're going to go through. At this time, I'd like to mention some of those activities and things that I thought maybe some of you might be interested in. If you're a senior, there is a senior legal hotline. And if you're 60 and over, you can call with a legal question or problem at 442-1212, and you can speak directly with a member of the legal staff for free. And it's confidential, and they're open from 9 to 1 Monday through Thursday. So call them with any issues that you may have in your community that has something to do with legal issues. Also, there's going to be on September 23rd, there's going to have a conference at CSUS, let's see, what's the name of that organization? The Motherlode chapter of the Sierra Club is going to be having a conference on open space preservation, habitat conservation. So if you'd like to go there, give them a call at 557-1100. And at this time, I also want to acknowledge our two volunteers, besides myself and Danette here today, Diane Matar, who is our greeter and massage therapist when she comes here and helps us during our break, and Steve Baylog, who is our radio engineer, who took the Sacramento Access class to learn how to manipulate the many buttons and levers to keep action callers on the airwaves each week. It was something that I couldn't seem to master, was how to do that and talk and press the buttons. So I feel so fortunate that Steve and Diane are here to support me and Danette to be part of the solution rather than part of the problem. And what we want to do is use our messes in our life to get to some semi-well-ordered solution. So again, tune in next week at 6 p.m. on Access Sacramento 91.5 FM for the candidates for public office. And next week we will have Rob Kurth, who is a candidate for mayor of Sacramento, and Ken Payne, I think I said Tom Payne before, but he was another famous man, candidate for Congress. We will have more great ideas for positive change in our community. And you can reach me, Reva Camiel, at 916-456-5199. And I'm about ready for saying goodbye and welcome you to stay on and listen to Interaction. And we'll have Dr. Clarissa Pincola's tape. It's going to be called Wolfen. So be sure to listen, stay right where you are, and we'll hear a wonderful tape.